Hello everyone, this is Ijaz Adams, another tutorial on Google Drive. Today we will be discussing about the structure of Google folders and Google files. Basically, when we compare the Google Drive, as in my previous tutorials I've mentioned, the file structure is quite similar to Windows operating system. Like in this example, what I did under my documents, I created a dummy folder which is called 277, and I will try today to relate this example with the Google Drive folder structure. Okay. Uh, Before I begin this, I would like to explain it to you. Let me close extra tabs. Uh, while you are browsing through any browser, you have uh, the option of using multiple tabs. You can open a tab by clicking on new tab, or the shortcut is Control T. Or you can open another window and then switch back those windows back and forth. In the Windows, it's Alt Tab when you switch between the windows. But today, I'm going to give you the example of working with multiple tabs also. The reason that I'm mentioning this to you guys is because eventually this video will be available for you to view it. So while you will be viewing this video, for example, under YouTube, you're watching this video, what you can do, you can switch back and forth, right? And then you can basically um, pause the video and then go back to the tutorial and then continue working on your hands-on. Another thing is if you click on Control N, hold on. I'm holding my microphone in my hand. I don't have the stand with me. Control N, right? So Control N in Windows environment, basically you're opening another window. I believe that it's the same shortcut in Chrome OS, right, or Chromebooks. So what you can do, you can click on YouTube here, and you are, for example, watching this video. I'm gonna just consider that's just a tutorial that I'm recording right now. So what you can do, you can pause that, and then you can go back to uh, you can switch the windows, Control Tab, right? You can switch the windows and go back to the tutorial over here, right? So switching windows on a Windows machine is you open a new window with Control N. It it ended up opening another window for you, like you can see it here, right? You have two windows open, okay? And then you can switch back and forth with the mouse or Control Tab. You can do it where you're watching the video over here. You can pause it. You click over here. You can pause it, right? Let's say you're watching this. You can pause this video, and by going over here, you can switch back to the tutorial that I'm presenting right now. Okay. Yes. So you can work with the multiple tabs. But you can do the split screen if you want. You can just move the screen over here. You can watch this video, pause the video, do the hands-on. You can switch back and forth, right? So let's continue our discussion on the importance of Google Drive. And of course, the folders and the files comes under the Google Drive. One of the advantages that we did discuss is the convenience of accessibility. I mean, wherever you go, Google Drive is with you, right? You don't need to carry the thumb drive with you or the USB external flash drives with you, not anymore. Um, and I did talk about the only drawback is you have to be connected to online in order to access your files, right? Let's try to explore the interface of Google Drive, right? On your left side, we have Drive. So every time when you open your Drive, let me close this. Every time you go, let me close this one too. All right, so every time you're on your Gmail, of course, the main login screen for you to utilize any apps under the Google is you need to log in. You need to log in with your Gmail address, right? Gmail under your Gmail account, and on your right side you have this checker box, which is called Google Apps. You need to click on it, right? And under that, you have those applications. Don't forget to scroll down later when you will be working on to other apps. Okay. Um, Another thing I want to mention here, for example, this drive is here and the calendar is here, right? If you think that you use Google Drive more often, you can drag this on the top, right? And if you think that in future, in any case, if Google Doc is already there, right? You think that, you know what, calendar is the thing that I will be using more, you can drag this here too. So it's just a convenient, it's just convenient for you to access those apps which you will be using more often, right? So in today's tutorial, we're going to go to Drive. Okay, icon is quite similar. Before I proceed this, I would like to mention it to you. The quick access files, sometimes it's confusing. So I recommend you to go into just go into the settings of the drive, which is this, right? Settings. And under the settings, click on settings again. And please uncheck under the suggestions anything that you see, like my relevant file handy. When you look at the quick access, I mean, you just uncheck that option. You might have less options over here, right, based upon the type of the account. We do have a corporate account, so I mean the business account, we might be having more options. We might, I'm not sure, okay, because I don't have the preview of your local accounts that you have. So don't worry about it. Just uncheck make relevant files handy. Click done, and you see those files are gone. Why I would recommend this? Because every time when you open your Google Drive, you might be confusing. You might be thinking, oh, these are the new files that I see. So just to eliminate this possibility of confusion, it's better for you to just uncheck it as I did here, right? And then afterwards, you have the viewing options of those folders, right? Let's continue. Let's start with the left side. So, what I was explaining it to you, every time when you click onto the Google Apps, click on the drive. So the default location for you is your drive, right? You see that? It's highlighted automatically. So from here, you will be looking which files you need to open. You might have less files. I have more files based on your account. How old is your account, right? And another important folder that you will be dealing is shared with me, right? Let's say, let's say when you will be starting your session, right? What's going to happen is you will be receiving an email to accept the shared folders, right? Those shared folders will look like this. Like, for example, this class 277, you might have class 278, right? You have this folder, not exactly labeled like this. You might have your name and the class, it might say class 277 or 277 class, right? So all you need to do under your email, you accept that shared invitation, right? Once you accept that, what's going to happen by default, this folder or file is going to be under your shared with me folder, okay? Normally what happened whenever we shared some files or folders among the students, they just happen to open their Google Drive and they say, wow, Mr. Adam, I don't see it. I don't have that, what you shared with me. So please go to your shared with me folder. Every time when we shared something, by default, when you accept from your email, it's going to take you automatically to the files or folders that we share. But my recommendation is, for example, let me create a new folder here. File, new, I'm sorry, drive, new folder. So I would call this a test folder, right? Test folder. I create this test folder, right? And oh, I already had this one from the previous. Let me remove this, okay? So let's say I share this test folder with you through email, and then you click and you're under this test folder. Sometimes it's better to move this test folder to your main drive, to my drive, I mean, right? So it's quite simple. What you can do, you can click and drag to my drive, right? And then just leave it here. So next time when you click on my drive, right, under drive, my drive, definitely you will be able to see the test folder. You see that test folder. So by default, one more time, when you click on Google App, when you click on Drive, so now your class folder or the test folder is inside your My Drive. So you don't need to worry about going into your shared drive. Okay. Um, so as we can create the folder, we can create the new files also, right? Let me revise what I've mentioned in my previous tutorial. Like, let's talk about what is folders and what is files, and then I try to relate the folder example of any storage location, right, where you can keep files, and then we made a comparison with the filing cabinet, right? Um, Folders, basically it's storage location, right? Why we have folders just in a way that we have those manila folders in the conventional filing system when we file a document. If you have all your financial documents, all the financials, and if you have all your certification hard copies, and if you have your birth certificates in one manila folders, and if I ask you to access your, for example, OSHA certification, right? Um, it will be very difficult for you to look at it because what you did, you just throw everything in one folder, and now you will be ending up sorting all those documents, right, one by one. And this is not what we do in file access mechanism when we are working in any platform. It could be Windows, it could be Google OS, it could be Macintosh, it doesn't matter. First of all, why we use computers? We use computers just to save our time. The processing speed of the computer is quite faster than we think. Okay, uh, don't get me wrong that computer is the most intelligent machine. No, I mean we make computer. In terms of processing speed, yes, it is it basically facilitate us to process the inputs in such a faster way so we can get the output right away. Okay, so why we have those folders? Folders allow us to basically differentiate different types of files. So in this example, if I have different folders, right? If I have, for example, sample resumes, and then I have online class notes, and then similar to this, I have other documents. If I just take out all from all those documents and then just mingle with all those things, all those files, I believe, right? Um, then it's difficult for me to access, right? It's difficult for me to, I mean, I have the search option, which we will be discussing later, but access will be difficult. So what what is more suitable, you need to create a folder. Like in this case, I show you that you will have a certain folder, and then let's say after 4 months or after 1 year, you're taking another class, right? You're taking another course. Let's say you're taking a course of some computer certification, right? What you can do, you just come here, right click, and then create a new folder. I don't want to confuse you between windows, but that's how you need to create new folders. So as here, we had this test folder, right? What we can do is we can create a new folder, and we can label this as, for example, my scores. Let's say you took some classes and then you want to save all of your scores under this folder. You could do that, right? And then every time when when you need to create a file or upload a file, you will be doing under my scores, all right? Okay. The next thing is we will be Yes, the status. I mean, how you need to access, how you know that you need to go into that particular folder, right? There are two ways. If you want to share that link, you can do that, right? Let's say if you want to share this folder with your friend, right? What you can do, you can click on, scroll down, right? And then you have the option. You can say share, and then you type the email address, and then you can share that folder, right? We will discuss more in detail. Or what you can do is get the shareable link. Okay, so link copied automatically. Or what you can do, you can just manually just click once and right click, copy, and this is the location. This is the location of my scores folder within your Google Drive. So in Windows environment is similar. When I click on 277 class, and if I go to week 1, I can still copy this link, right? Let me do it slowly. I just click once, right click on it, and I hit copy. So here we go. I close everything. I open the File Explorer in Windows, right? And I click once, and I paste that link that I copy, right? It says C users, IT support, documents 277 class week 1, right? And I hit enter. It takes me directly to that week 1 folder, which is under 277 class folder. So I have the documents, then I have a folder 277, then I have a subfolder which is called week 1. And under week 1, I have a test document that says EJAS test.doc. Remember, .doc means it's a document. And when I hover my mouse, look, by moving my mouse over this, it shows me it's a Microsoft Word document, and it's the size of the document when it was created. We will not be discussing more on Microsoft Office or Windows, since we will be working all of our assignments onto Google Drive. This is just the structure, the navigation I would like to compare. Over here, everything onto the web. That's why you have drive.google.com/drive, all the path. But basically, it is located somewhere on Google's server. We don't know where it is, right? But when you compare with the physical storage, it is under your PC, right? Double click on PC, and then you have the users. Under the users, you click on IT support. Under the IT support, you have your own documents, and then class, and then week 1. All right, I'm not going to go into detail again, but this is how it's physically located, right? Onto my hard drive. So I minimize this, and now let's talk about my drive. My scores is a subfolder. Can we create another subfolder? Yes, definitely we could do it. You can create another subfolder or file by clicking new, or in the within the empty space, you right click on it and then click new folder. And under my scores, why don't we change my scores to class 278, for example, right? Or let me do something. I go here and I say rename, and I say James Wilson, class 277, for example, right? And I click OK, right? So now let's pretend that this James Wilson class 277 folder was shared by your instructor or by me, right? And now within the folder, the question was, can we create the subfolders? Yeah, you could do it. You can either click and right click new folder, or you can go to new folder and then week 1, right? So now my drive, James Wilson class 277, and then week 1, right? Under week 1, you might have certain files. Same way, the way we created subfolders or folders, we can create the files too. The only difference is you have to be very careful. When you click on new, instead of folder, you need to say Google Docs. So when you create a new file, Google Doc, keep in mind the default name for any file that you create is untitled document. So when you click here, right, you can rename it. You can right click on it, right? I'm sorry. You can just click once, and then with the backspace, you can say computer info. I'm just leaving everything blank, okay? And then on the white space, anywhere on the screen, click once, and then you rename that file. So when I created that file, by default, the file name was untitled, okay? And then I just rename it. So as the folders too. So I'm going to close that file, and I'll give you an example one more time. So if I click new and another folder, right? By default, it says untitled folder, all right? I can say week 2. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so week 2, the space. Okay, so you see, when you create a new folder, by default, untitled, there's no name. When you create a new file, we just created under week 1, it was untitled file, but we rename it to computer info. Okay? Okay, one more thing is when you look at the folder, you have the option to change the view either as a grid or as a list. So on the right side, you have, currently it's on a grid view. You can change it to a list view if you want. Okay, I'm sorry, this is a list view, and then you can change it to grid view if you want to, right? It's just a convenience. If you are dealing with lots of image files, right? Sometimes it's better to use the grid view, right? If you have a lot of files, like I showed to you under my drive, and then you need to scroll down many times, then grid view might not be suitable for you. Okay, so you can change the view from here. All right. About the storage of Google Drive, by default, whenever you open a new Google account, 15 gigs of free space is available for the Google Drive, right? And it's most of the times it's enough for most of the users. But you can have a paid subscription, and you can have extra space if you want to. We are provided 30 gigs, right? Because as I mentioned, we have a paid subscription with Google, right? All right. So another thing is the way that I try to make a comparison with the Windows operating system, right? Because I'm on Windows right now. I'm using Windows 10. I showed it to you before. When I click on Start, right, I click on this PC, right? And I right click on it, and I click on Properties, right? It shows me I'm using Windows 10, right? Okay. All right. Um, so the address location we were discussing, the address location, like in this, if I'm on under Documents 2, and there's a subfolder called 277, this would be my address location, you see. And in Windows environment, we call this a path, all right? Um, a structured path. That's how you need to locate to a particular file. Of course, we have the search feature over here, like we have the search feature over here. So you can see Windows, you can search the file under search. You see the magnifying glass, and you see the magnifying glass. You can search here too, right? So the way that in order to access a particular folder, you have a unique address here. Same way over here, whenever you create a new file or a new folder, a unique address is being created automatically over here, right? So if I go here, the address is different. And if I go to week 2, the address is unique too. If the address will not be unique, then that means we have a problem in basically looking for the file. We will be having an access issue. We will be having the read issue. We will be having the write issues, right? Read and write is a terminology normally used. Read means to access the file. Write means to save the file, right? But you don't have to use these jargons here. Simply, you can say that open the file or save the file. When you save the file, you make changes with the file. All right. I would like to discuss one more thing here. As I discussed before also, like there is no save button. When you are dealing with Google Docs, there is just no save button. The moment you type anything, it saved automatically. And it shows you last added was 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes before I was working. So if I say here, test, and then I close this tab, right? Um, so the changes that I made, I just typed test. Let's look at it. Double click on it. Yes, it was made. So you can see that you have the live updates, live saving, or live when you anything any changes that you make on the file, it basically applied on a live real-time fashion. I would say yes, real-time fashion. Okay, I would like to close this, and then the next thing is I would like to discuss about. Yes, space we did discuss, and then moving the folders we discussed. Same way that we move the folders, we can move the files too. For example, let me go here, right? Let's say if I would like to, oh, this is an old file, okay. Yeah, this, right? I would like to move it to my drive, just drag. Okay, I'm not doing it, just drag, but I just switch it back, okay? So files and folders can be moved from your shared folder to your default drive location, which is my drive. Okay, every time when you open the Google Drive, the default location is my drive. Okay, I would like to go again to the test folders. There's one more thing that is very convenient here under the Google Drive is the search feature. Okay, which is quite efficient, right? There are many ways to you can search. You can search with the dates. You can search with the last file created. But right now, I would like to explain you the simple way. Let's say test folder we created. Test folder. You see, I don't even hit search. I don't even click on it. The possible matches. It's just showing. It's just a preview. In order for you to hit search and go to two different folders, it is letting you know, okay, you know what? That's the test folder. I'm going to go directly here, right? Test folder. And then there were two test folders. The one test folder we created week 1. Remember the name of the student, and we created those two week 1 and week 2 folders, right? But that's another test folder. So I'm going to search again. Can you tell me the difference between two possible matches here? So test folder, and then the week 1 test folder, right? And then when I click on week 1 test folder, it's basically a shared folder. You see, more than one person is, you can look at it. That means it's a shared folder. Okay. If you have basically there's one person showing as an icon, that means it's not a shared folder, right? We will look more into it. Let me show it to you here. So, do you believe a search is a powerful tool? Yes. Do you think that it helps you to find the file in such an efficient manner? Yes, I strongly believe that, right? And other thing I would like to see is to explain you that what is the file structure, okay? Or how you can look at the file structure, how the files and folders, basically exist. I mean, I show you in Microsoft Windows environment, which is what we call the File Explorer, right? And it's basically an organization of files and folders, right? If you recall my previous tutorial in which I've mentioned that folders basically holds subfolders or files. So in this example, let me switch back to my Google Drive here. Um, Drive, okay. And then, okay, hold on. We can sort this, hold on. So test folder, right? And under test folder, I can create a new folder. And I would say Tom. Right? So looking at this example, Tom has how many subfolders? Data, thesis, notes, and tools, right? I'm not going to make all of those, but just to relate this example, I'm going to go back and I'm going to click on Tom. I need to go inside Tom folder and then new and folder, right? And then by looking at it, data, tools, let me create 2 or 3 maybe. Data, and then make sure you're not creating a subfolder within data. I explain you why. And then tools, and then notes, all right, it's working. So why I say that you don't supposed to go inside data folder and then create notes. Look at the example over here. Tom has 4 folders. I created 3, but it doesn't matter. Tom has, my mistake, I'm sorry. Tom has 4 files, okay? Folder icon looks like this and file looks like this, but I would like to explain it to you. So under Tom, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 files, right? As you see, text file, txt, right? I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to delete all these, right? Remove, all right? So I'm going to go new, and then, new. Remember files. I create a file called tools, okay? And then I close it. Okay, okay. And then I have new Google Docs, right? What else we have? We have data and then notes, right? Remember, the default name is untitled document. So you click once and then backspace and then you can say notes. All right? And I close this. It's going to come. Okay? All right. Tom has 3 files, data, notes, and tools, right? And when I switch back here, right, under data, he has 1 text and 2 text, right? Now, when you compare this, do you think it reflects the actual construction or the structure of the documents here? Tom has 3 files. Do we have files over here? No. We have folders, right? I think I made a mistake before also. You have the main folder, and then you have the subfolders, right? The way that I try to trick you here is so you can recognize the difference between files and folders. When I click on the folders, folder look like this, right? When you click on Tom, the files look like files, right? So what we need to do in order to create those files, we need to create folders, right? Okay. Same way that I deleted before, you select everything, right click on it, and then what you need to do is you need to just remove, right? I'm going to do again new folder, because now you know the difference between the icons of of folders and files, right? I'm going to quickly say I'm going to leave caps on data. I'm going to say now notes, and I'm going to say tools. So this is level number 1. Tom, under Tom main folder, you have subfolders, data, notes, and tools, right? And under data, you have document called one text and two text. Not text really, it's txt, it's a text file, all right? In our case, it will be a Google Doc. Let's create two files under data folder, which is a subfolder under main folder. The main folder is Tom, okay? So let me explore the data folder. Go to data folder, and then let me create a new file. What is the name of the file? 1 and 2, okay? Uh, txt is the extension, right? And there's a way you can view the extension, but it's different than the txt in Google Docs, okay? So I go back here, and then I right click on it, and instead of creating another folder, I create the docs, and I would name this as number 1, and then I leave it, and then I close it, right? It's gonna come, and then I say blank document, and I would call this 2, right? So now I have two files under a folder named data, okay? Tom has 3 folders. Under data, he has 2 files based on this. Let me see if I can work with the size. Yes. All right, makes sense, right? Tom has a subfolder called data. Data has 2 files, 1 and 2. When I go back to Tom, what else I have? I have notes, right? Notes. Under the notes, do I have, what is notes, by the way? Is it a file or a folder? It's a file. So this note doesn't exist over here. What it is, it's a file. So what we're going to do, we're going to delete this. And under Tom, we will be creating a new file called notes. Right? Now my question is, when I click on data, and if I want to create another file called notes, would there be a duplication? Because I have an empty file, notes. And where it is under Tom. Under Tom, I have a file called notes, a Google Doc. And then when I click on data, I have another file called notes. Will there be a duplication of those files? No, because this note exists under data, and another notes file exists under Tom. Same as over here. Tom has a file called note or notes, right? And then under data, you have, I created over there, not here, I created over there another file called notes. Okay, so duplication only exists if you are on the same level. If I create another notes file over here, that's, of course, is going to tell me, you know what, oh, duplicate names are found. Okay, so just for your reference, the navigation is through the main root folder. For in this case, is the main folder called Tom. From Tom, you need to go another subfolder, right, called data. From data, under data, you have 2 files. Over here, Tom has another file called notes. Okay, Tom has a subfolder called thesis. Tom has another subfolder called tools. Under tools, you have a subfolders. Look at the sign. Look at the shape. Okay, look at the icon. And under tools, you have another 2 files. So under tools, you have 2 files and 1 subfolder. So keep in mind It is not the same in Google Docs, but it is similar. So every time when you click on the main folder, like test folder, you have a subfolder called Tom. Under Tom, you have two subfolders and one file. In one of the folder, when you click on Tom, you have three files in it. Okay. Can I create another subfolder under data? Definitely yes. I click on new and folder, and I would say um, old. Sorry, I'm holding the microphone with my hand. Old folder. All right. So yes, I have another folder called old folder where it exists under data. It's working right now. It's going to come. If I, yeah, okay. So you see how the icon is different than these, right? All right, so let me refresh a little bit. Let me explain you. I mean, we did the hands-on. Let me explain you the difference between files, folders, and the drive. I mean, you know, large amount of information such as documents, spreadsheets, in our case, Google Sheets, right? Images, MP3 files, music files, web pages can be stored on computer. I mean, storage media such as, in our case, Google Drive, G Drive, right? Or back in old days, we used to have flash memory drives, right? This information can be organized into files and folders. So a computer file is a collection of information in which basically you can store that file onto the computer storage media. In our case, where we store in Windows, we store in our C drive. It's basically a storage location. I have the D drive also for the data, right? All right, and a folder is basically a collection of related files, right? Or related folders, all right? Because why we created subfolders, what is the purpose of the folders? To have grouped together and give a name. If I have resumes, I would create a folder called resumes. And under the resume folders, if I want to further subdivide that, I would say to 2020 resumes. Under 2020 resumes, I would say I would have the resumes of all the students with their name, right? So that's what the main purpose of folders, to organize related files. If I have picture files, I will be saving under pictures, right? And if I have the resume files, I will be saving all the resumes under the resume folder. And if I have the subfolders under resume folders with the date stamps on it, right? Like starting from 2017 to 2018 or 19, yes, I will be saving the files based on onto the dates, right? So the folders on the storage media are arranged in a tree-like structure. Okay, so this is a tree-like structure, right? You have one root, you have branches, and then you have sub-branches, right? In order to access a file called 2.txt, I need to enter through the root, and then I need to go into the data. Under data, I need to access. Within the data, if I go, then I will be able to open that file. But of course, you don't access this sequentially. You can access this file randomly, right? In our case, if I have the file path or the location or the address, I can just copy this, I can open a new tab, and I can paste this, and I will be on the same location. See that? I don't have to go sequentially. Sequential means if you recall back in the 80s, we used to have those cassette players, or we used to have those Walkman. Remember? We used to have like 14 tracks. I I don't have a good memory, but I remember, my father used to have that. So they used to listen to those tracks, right? They access from track 1 through track 14 sequentially. If you need to jump into track 6, you need to fast forward. But in this case, the access is random. You can go sequentially. I can go folder by folder, right, go inside. But if you have the address, this is what the advantage of accessing files and folders randomly. That's the speed. If you have the hyperlink, what I call the hyperlink, or the address of that specific folders or files, yes, then you can go directly onto that file and folders. You don't need to wait, right? Um, so this thing is basically called the navigation bar. Okay, that shows you your current position where you are. Okay, you are under my drive, test folder, time, and data. Similar to this, if I'm here, that means I'm under Tom, data, and then the file name 2.txt, right? This is it for today's tutorial. In next tutorial, if it's related to Google Drive, we will be talking about how to deal with the different formats of the files, how to upload file, how to download the file, how to basically it takes care of the different file types when you're uploading and downloading. All right, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.